reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. MMO Reporter's coverage of PAX East 2012 is brought to you by our exclusive sponsor, Squarespace. And I'm here at the Red 5 Studios booth with Matt Dewald, and we are going to talk about some Firefall. We're going to get some hands-on in a second, get a chance to see the game, but it must be pretty exciting now. You've been ratcheting up the beta for a little while, and to have players in the game must be a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's also very nerve-wracking, right? We are a company that really likes to involve our community into our game, and so providing feedback early and often is really important to us. We push out things that aren't necessarily complete and try to see what's fun and what's not. You know, Red 5 is in the business of making fun, so it's really important for us for the game to be fun. So we like to involve them, but the differing opinions is always an enjoyable experience. Forums go crazy, and we finally released the NDA. So now we're getting feedback from people who haven't even played the game, and that's really awesome because now the world gets to see what we've been working on.
So there are a whole bunch of different interpretations of what an MMO shooter is. What's your interpretation?
Well, so we don't consider Firefall to be an MMO primarily because of the fact that the world exists with about 300 people. It's more along the lines of a massively cooperative game, right? So it does have a lot of people, it does have an open world, it does have character progression, it has all those things that from MMO elements that we love. Right, that's the thing is when we started making a game, we wanted to make a shooter because we love shooters, but then there's like all these other components to other games that are just awesome. So we're like, well, what can we take? What can we use to really add to gameplay? It's something that's not going to detract and it's not going to make it feel too muddy, but make it really a really great game. And so we took those elements from MMOs. But in my definition of a big MMO, it's just unlimited space and unlimited world. And I'm an old school MMO player, so Ultima Online, EverQuest. So that's why I don't like to call Firefall an MMO. But it's got so many elements of an MMO, like the persistent world, the persistent characters, that I could see why people would call it that. And I'm happy to let people call it whatever we want. This problem when you're genre breaking, you can't really pigeonhole yourself into a genre.
So at the Future of Online Gaming panel yesterday, one of the distinctions that was made between Firefall and PlanetSide 2 was the fact that you're focusing on PvE content as a large portion of your game, whereas PlanetSide 2 is going to be all PvP. What are you doing for those players who do want some PvP with their PvE? You know, they got to get a little peanut butter in their chocolate.
That's a good analogy. We definitely, so right now we're doing a competitive PvP style, so we really want to focus on the esports community to start with. So we have instance-based maps ranging from 5v5 to 15 versus 15, with most esports actually happening at the 5v5 level for smaller team play, but larger team battles if we want to. We have tons of ideas for even larger maps and maps in between, so we're still pumping those out. Right now we've got about 4 with different game styles, and we'll add more throughout beta. It's interesting because Firefall actually started out as a 3-faction PvP game, and we rolled it back because we wanted to make something that was 3-faction PvP but still have a lively world, right? The problem with a PvP-only game is there's nothing in the world if there's no players in the world, right? So you have to add that content that players can do if they're alone or if there are no friends on or if the world's kind of empty. And so we started adding that, and then we realized this is a lot of fun. Like, why aren't we doing more of this? So we started adding more and more content and more things that we could do, and then we realized, well, let's go ahead and focus on this first because it's something that doesn't exist right now. A true massive scale cooperative shooter just doesn't exist in the market, and that's something we can really differentiate ourselves. And that's not to say we don't like open world PvP. I'm a huge PvP player, and I'm really looking forward to us doing open world PvP. We still have the design documents, we still have all the content that we've been working on for the past 5 years on those lines. So I can expect to see that coming, after we've launched.
So what sort of systems do you have in the game for players who want to organize in large groups? Do you have guilds, clans? What do you have available?
Yeah, we call our system the army system because due to the game type that we're making. But it's very similar to a guild system or a clan system, but more advanced than a clan system. So we took those. That's another component we took for shooters that shooters don't have is the clan management, right? So guild systems that you can invite your friends to, have officers, have all that kind of system built into it. Things that we're looking to add in the future are, ways to fight against other armies, to do open world battles, Who knows, maybe Army headquarters, things that, we've got tons of ideas. It just depends on what we can implement as a small development house.
So with the PvE environment, once people get up to the level 15, can they expect more of the same, or do you have things that are going to be specifically for those people who have maxed out their characters?
So a lot of the content in Firefall is dynamic, right? The world is constantly changing, and depending on what players are doing, changes the content that's available. And we really wanted to make sure that that content is repeatable, right? So that as a level 15 player, I'm not going on the same dungeon run over and over and over again. The attack on a city is actually my major event. I want to stop this attack because I get major rewards for it, or I really want to make sure that this area is available, or I want to work together with other armies to build a repulsor tower to push back the melding and open up new content. Those things should be fun in and of themselves so that I don't feel like I'm just grinding at a high level. It's actually an enjoyable experience. So we don't have any sort of raid system per se, but you've seen some of our attacks. Last year we showed off the Chosen Invasion with the huge ship. I could expect those to get much more advanced, and the higher level you are, the more options that are available to you, because you have unlocked new technologies that will help you out in those battles. So every single time you experience one of those, it should be a little bit different and a little bit more fun. It's the same as playing like a Left 4 Dead map over and over again. It's different every time. It's not the same repetitive experience.
All right, let's take a look at some of the content.
Great. So in Firefall, the Firefall event was an asteroid that came across the planet Earth and laid waste to pretty much the entire Earth with meteorites, and that's what pretty much destroyed humanity. But there was a silver lining to this asteroid. There was a resource called crystite inside of it that allowed humanity to create clean energy, and so it actually created like a Renaissance age for humanity, and they were able to automate a lot of processes. They were able to really push forward technology. But unfortunately, crystite was a limited resource, so they weren't able to continue to mine crystite out of the meteorites, so they needed to find the source. Fortunately, they did, but it was on a planet that's 4.3 light years away, so it takes 7 years to get there at max speed, because we still haven't invented faster than light travel, and then 7 years to get back with all time dilation effects and everything associated with that. Kind of a pain in the butt to get more resources. So scientists spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in creating faster than light travel, and they created a ship called the Arclight. Now, the Arclight was just doing its maiden voyage, and it was going to fold space-time, be there in an instant, and be right back in an instant. But unfortunately, a major accident happened, and the Arclight crashed in a Fortaleza, Brazil. And we can see all this in our introduction movie, which you'll have an example of. But now it's 6 months after that crash, and humanity is trying to survive after the melding has taken over the planet. And so I'm part of it, my character, and everybody's character is part of a group of people, a group of mercenaries that are just trying to survive and working with what's left of the government, called the Accord, in order to gain resources, survive, and push forward. So I have my teammates, Arrow, who's passing me missions. She's my technology officer, as well as a guy named Oil Spill, who's really my kind of mechanic guy that drops down thumpers and other things for me. So they push missions for me and tell me what to do. In this case, we're headed to Copacabana, which is one of the last surviving cities. It's really a leisure resort, and so it's kind of a strange dichotomy between leisure, relaxation, and a lot of weapons fire and everything. So, but what I want to do first is interface with the SYN uplink. SYN stands for Shared Information Network, and really what that means is it's what would the internet be like in 200 years, right? So we kind of thought about it and figured that most people would be tied in with this internet regardless of where they are. They'd have implants that would change the way they interact with the world. So my HUD, everything I'm doing, has SYN effects to it. And it's really important to interface with the SYN network because that's what pushes all your missions to you. Rather than doing a normal quest-based system where you run up to a person, they talk to you, you talk to them, and they give you a mission, we push missions to the player to let them know what's going on. So this right here is our SYN tower for Copacabana, and it will interface me with Copacabana's SYN network and let me know what's happening in the area. So Arrow's hooked into SYN as well, and she'll let me know if there's any missions in the area. But first she'll pull up the map, and we can see what's going on. In this case, this is Copacabana, the area around it. So as you can see, the SYN network reaches out, and it will show me missions that are happening in the area. There's a Chosen patrol over here. That's pretty bad. If the Chosen build up forces, they could take over the city, so I might want to focus on that. there's a Thumper crash site. I might want to take care of that. But what's actually happening right now is Ratchet is letting me know that there's a mission for Copacabana, that their water valves are kind of clogged up. So I'm going to go take a look at that because that seems to be pushed to me. Might be a little bit more of a risk.
If this one goes down, Copacabana won't have any water. Ratchet, we're on it.
So missions can range from anything from your normal collect quests, kill quests, fetch quests. But the nice thing about Firefall is that those aren't necessarily boring, right? We're a skill-based game, we're an action-based game, so fighting a creature is actually kind of fun in and of itself. So I'm going to interact with this water valve. That's not good. So these Arana have been clogging the drains. Check them out, but we'll seal it up. There we go, the water valve's taken care of, but the Arana are still changing around. As you can see, we're actually in our live beta. There are other players playing this game. We're online on the internet. It's not just people at the show, and they're helping out wherever they can. If we played a little PvP, they'd probably destroy me though, so I'm gonna stick to open world for now. But now we just need to kill as many Arana as we can to try to clear out the system a little bit.
So what are some of the rewards that players will get for completing quests?
So your default, it's actually more about what you do during the quest and the quest itself. You do get resources, like experience, your normal rewards with that, but going out into the world and actually killing the creatures is what will get you your resources from those creatures. Like you can see them drop Crystite right there. You can see them drop some ammo for me. Maybe we can see if we get one that drops loot. But your primary source of income is actually thumping, which we'll jump into in a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and show that right now. This character's still too new. I would have to go through some missions in order to unlock that technology. But if I switch up, let me just switch to a different character and I'll show you what that looks like. So in our beta, we actually just went 24/7 on Monday. Previously, it was set time, so that's a big day for us. We also dropped the NDA as of this Friday morning. So PAX East was the first time we had no NDA. So it's been really exciting for us seeing all the feedback and everything go online. Recently in beta, we've unlocked a lot of new areas and new missions and things like that. So like this area right here is Trans Hub, which is kind of the location for the Accord. It's much more high tech than Copacabana. It's less of a leisure resort, much more of a tech center or a military center. So what I can do, let me go ahead and see what we can get out of the city here. So resource collection and resource refining is really important in Firefall. What you want to do is you want to go out and find resources. So I need to use my scan hammer in order to locate any resource veins that may exist in the area. If I go out in the woods, we'll see what we can find. Slam my hammer down. That survey is negative. So you kind of explore the world and see what you can find. Oh, there's some chosen patrol out there. You can see them. I don't want to fight those guys, so I'm going to go the opposite direction.
Do resources spawn in specific spots, or are they dynamic spawns?
It's actually a dynamic system, so our AI system will actually find locations that it should place resources and try to set those up in convenient spots. You know, sometimes it's not so convenient, and resources can get mined out. So there might be a really awesome vein that you found one day, but then you head back there a week later and it doesn't exist anymore, or even the next day if everybody's really found it out. And so one of the things we're still debating internally is whether that's a shared information, right? Do you know where other people are finding resources, or is that some secret information that it should be private to the player? You know, with our beta, we release content early and often, right? So we have placeholder art, we have placeholder sounds, effects, things like that in the game, because we want to get player feedback to figure out what's good, what's not, in order to figure that out. And one of the feedback I'm going to give right now is that it's hard to find a resource vein. Now again, we're playing live beta. This area may be all mined out. I may have to go much further out to find it. You know, just to show you a little bit of our world. You know, I started out in Trans Hub. All this area is now open for the player to play in. So we've actually expanded our beta zone by quite a lot. And this area back here is the melding. The melding's blocking off the rest of the terrain. And that kind of fits into our staged content release for open world. We have areas behind the melding that are completely done. They're ready to go. But we're not releasing that to our players until they've actually unlocked it through the story. So they'll work together as a team to unlock that area and push back the melding through melding repulsor technology. Yeah.
So it's if it's a private information thing, people have an opportunity to make a lot of money selling that information to other players.
Potentially, yeah, and that's what the really fun gameplay elements that might come out of that, right? You'll notice that as I run around, they're pushing more and more missions to me. They're letting me know that there's a chosen encampment over there that I could take out if I was good, but that's way too many people for a single person to take on.
So, it's obviously quite the challenge to find resources and get it set up. As we get out there, though, once you do find the resource, what is it that you do with it?
The resources themselves?
Yeah.
So what you need to do after you mine resources, you'll actually use those to refine them and get even kind of a different density resource. There are different quality levels of the resources. Then you'll go back to town and actually invest those in manufacturing items. So I can show you that real quick because I've got some stuff already. I've played this character quite a bit. This is my personal character. So as a development house, we've actually reached the point finally where we have to tell people to stop playing during the day and get back to work, which is always a great point in any development house this time, right? You want your own teammates to really enjoy playing the game. So every city will have manufacturing terminals, and that's why it's really important to actually hold these cities from chosen invasion, because if they get taken over, I lose access to all this stuff. But I can run up to these manufacturing stations, open that up, and I have 2 manufacturing slots open to me available, and I can buy more if I wanted to. This is also where some of our monetization comes into play, things that don't affect gameplay balance, but provide convenience or cosmetics to your character. So in this case, I have different nano templates here that I can create. One template that I have, though, is a blue backpack template, right? I need to upgrade my backpack. I've only got 2 abilities. It's still only a level 4 backpack, so I can pop that in there and craft that item, and it's going to take 20 seconds. Refining is what takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort to refine a process, so you might start those off, go to bed, wake up the next morning, come back on, your refining processes are done. Now you can craft that item. Once this item is done, we can pull it off the manufacturing terminal, and I can equip it immediately.
So the crafting takes place in real time, not just your time in game.
Correct. So I could, if I had left that on there and logged off immediately, even though it's only 20 seconds, it would have been done by the time I got back, even by the time I got back logged in. So that actually became open in my inventory, and now I have a blue backpack with multiple ability slots in it. So I need to go to a terminal, though, a load-up manufacturing or modification terminal that will allow me to switch that up. So it shows me what I have currently. I have a green backpack with 2 abilities, and I have a blue backpack that I can copy over. And not only did that just give me more abilities, but it actually changed the look of my character. So I have a much bigger backpack now, a different character. If I had a higher battle frame level, I'd grow that as well. There's tiers of equipment to make it look. So when you see somebody that's high level and has a lot of gear unlocked, you're like, yeah, I know that guy's high level and he's got a lot of equipment unlocked. We're trying to add more and more of that as we go. We're a small development house, so it takes time, but we've recently added things that even on the battle frame itself, the boots look a little bit different. So I know he has afterburner, or his arms look a little bit different, so he has shockwave, or the things like that. His weapon, the underbarrel on my weapon looks a little bit different, so I know it's a triple shot versus a scatter shot. So all those little elements really add to what does he have equipped on him, so to add that MMO flavor that we wanted to add to the game. So we're not just a shooter, we're kind of a conglomeration of multiple game types. Does that answer your question about resources?
Absolutely, absolutely. So for an MMO player who is maybe used to the World of Warcraft, to the Rift, to the Lord of the Rings Online, what is it about Firefall that they're going to find familiar?
Familiar is very simple, the progression, leveling progression. With that, though, we're a skill-based game, so unlike other MMOs where a level 7 could never touch a level 15 player, right? They're just going to miss all the time and not be able to do it. In our game, it's skill-based, so that level 15 player has an advantage, maybe a 2x advantage, but he's still killable, especially if you're playing as a team and you take him out. So in PvP, that becomes very important. The quest system is very similar, except for the fact that its missions are pushed to you and you complete them. There's no quest hubs or anything like that. By exploring the world and unlocking the Sin Towers, I actually get more missions that are available to me, and I can check those out. Just exploring the vast open world. I mean, we have a world that hundreds of players can cooperate in and really get that social interaction. You'll see people in chat who are asking, have a light thumper, looking for 2 more. Like, that's normal grouping systems that MMO players are very familiar with. And playing as a squad is a lot more fun. You can get access to a lot of new things.
And how many levels in the progression system at launch?
Right now, we're just 1 through 15, and we're gonna probably keep that for at least until the end of the year. Maybe a little bit sooner. We'll expand that. We have content for beyond that, but we want to make sure that what we release is polished enough by the end of the year that we can get that out there. We're constantly, that 1 through 15 has various tiers of abilities and things like that inside of it. So I have a tier 1 creator, I can get tier 2 creator, tier 3 creator that has different abilities and different modules. On my character, I have, like, my battle frame doesn't have any module slots right now, but I could get one that did and add that to increase my run speed, increase my jump height, things like that, to really customize my character. And so you have all these rewards that really make you feel better as a character that you can unlock and really have that sense of progression. These characters are unlocked, each battle frame is done separately. So my level 6 assault here is great, but I only have a level 1 medic because I haven't played medic recently. Right, so I have to level those up independently and really push them forward, and then customize his loadout and work through resources. So for those completionists, there's a lot to do. But if you really want to just dedicate to 1 frame and play 1 frame, that's all you need to do.
So can you change the color of your battle frame or anything like that?
Right now, it's during setup you create the colors. That's one of the things we will absolutely sell in the store, because that's something very easy for us to do, and it doesn't hurt gameplay at all. So not only colors, but also decals and different things like tattoos and facial hairs, hair pieces, all those sorts of things are things that we'll sell in the store once it goes online. But right now, we're really focused on making a fun game first, and then worrying about monetization later. So the melding is a huge part of our game, right? The melding that surrounds the rest of the world is a really big deal. So the melding curtain is actually a very ominous thing, right? Players can explore into it, they can have some fun with it, but it's a very dangerous thing and they'll want to push it back. The closer you get to the melding, the more whispers you hear, you start to feel like it's, oh my God, what's happening? Some players, our beta testers right now, are trying to see how far they can get in there with organizing between medics. Because as I enter the melding, like, there's content back here, but I start taking damage. The further I go, the more damage I'll take. So you could definitely, like, it's a great place to hide from other people. You can see there's a rare supply case in there. I don't know if I can make it in there. Crystite, loot, run out. So by curtain the melding and going into the curtain in and out, I can actually, experience different content. And then when we open up missions to actually dive deep into the melding, there's all kinds of great things in there. I'm pretty sure this is a chosen base, so I'm going to go in here and commit suicide. And we'll end it on the death of Phobos and see what happens. But, yep. There we go. So, Firefall, hopefully we'll have beta available for everyone by the end of the year, and everybody will be playing it, but we're going to still do our Gmail-style invite system of constantly growing beta through invites. Because it's a social game, we want to make sure people have people to play with.
Awesome. So thanks so much for showing me all that. That's fantastic. I cannot wait to get into the game. One of the nice things that you're doing here at PAX is that everyone who signs in on the floor, they get a beta invite. So once I get back home, I'll be making sure to get in game. What is it that you love to do in game? When you get a chance, you get home after a long day at the office and you get to play, what is it that you like to do?
So we recently added thumpers into the game, and we've added 2 levels of the thumper, the tiny thumper and the light thumper. And I love the fact that I can hop on late at night, find 2 or 3 people to join me on a light thumper mission, and just harvest resources. I can't tell you how often I've gone home at 11 o'clock at night, working late, still decide to hop on. I'm just going to do 1 thumper, no problem. And then 3.5 hours later, I'm like, guys, we've done like 17 of them. I'm kind of tired. I need to go to bed. I got to go work in like 4 hours. So that the fact that I can lose time like that in a game that I play not only at home but at work is awesome to me. So.
Well, thanks so much for your time. Looking forward to the game, and can't wait to get some of our listeners hopefully into the game at some point.
Absolutely.
Thanks.